Okay, we are live. Welcome, guys, to the pre-market overview for July 9th. Today is a Thursday, so happy Thursday to you all. So I'm just going to explain very quickly what the overview is about for those that have never been with us before. What we do is we go over our newsletter. So our newsletter, if you're not already subscribed, you can email us, newsletter@tradewithufos.com. Basically, in that newsletter, we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. We talk about the direction that they're going in, how long we think that they're going to keep going in that direction, when we think they might turn, news that impacts the markets, and volatility as well. And we go over all of it in 15-20 minutes. So that's what we go over in the overview. And for you to get the document that I'm about to go through for yourself, just email us, newsletter@tradewithufos.com. Cool. So I've got another couple of emails to highlight. So there's my email there. My name's Becky, so you can email me, becky@tradewithufos.com. Always better to email the support team. They're much quicker at responding. So if you need any help with anything, you have questions on anything, then it's support@tradewithufos.com. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight what we have going on today so that we can see that, and then I'll go through the disclaimers. So today being a Thursday, we have stocks at 9 a.m. and then investing at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can see that obviously we have futures and options Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays, and we have sharpening over the weekends. That's normally going over methodology, sort of reinforcing methodology, and also psychology sessions as well. So those are the sessions that we've got coming up. Obviously today, like I said, we have stocks and investing. Upcoming courses that we have. The next one is actually going to be our back testing class. That's July 18th to the 19th. So that's just about taking a strategy, applying it to the past to see whether it would have worked for you up until now and gather data on it in a much more sort of efficient way. After that, we have futures, stocks, psychology, and trading plans. Just to say for those of you that have joined us this week, we have moved our psychology class. So that was the next one, but we've now moved it to August. So the next one is back testing. So I'm just going to read the disclaimers and you guys can have a look through those dates and see what works for you. So the following videos, clips, demonstrations are for educational and instructional purposes only. Tradective provides these videos purely for the purpose of demonstrating a method of using the product. Users understand that all the content used in the video is purely for demonstration purposes only and is not a guide and does not provide any indication or prediction of actual results. As a user, you understand and agree that hypothetical results obtained through the demonstration do not indicate in any way the results you may receive when using our products. The following presentation is for educational purposes only. All the symbols and trading ideas discussed are for demonstrating and are not recommendations. Active options and futures trading carries a high degree of risk and may not be suitable for all traders. Past historical trading performance of real or simulated trading does not guarantee success and may not be indicative of future results. You Can Trade is an online media publication service which provides educational investment content and ideas along with live trading demonstrations and does not provide investment or trading advice, research or recommendations of any kind. Please visit www.youcantrade.com for additional disclosure information. Okay, now that's done. Let's go into the overview, which is the bulk of what we do today. So let's get that up. Okay, so this is what the overview newsletter looks like. So you'll get this, like I said, every day. If you're part of the subscription, we'll send it to you before the market opens. So you'll see we go through 4 of the major markets in the world. So we have the S&P, oil, gold, and the euro. Those are the 4 markets that we go through. Now, S&P is obviously one of the major equity indices in the world. We have 2 major commodities in oil and gold. The euro is one of the biggest currencies in the world. In fact, the euro versus the US dollar is the highest traded currency pair in the world, and the US dollar itself is responsible for 80% of all trading transactions across the world every single day. So we've covered a lot of what goes on out there in the markets, and even if you don't trade these things directly, I'm sure a lot of what you trade will be correlated to it. We're going to go through the daily time frame on each of them. So again, different things happen on different time frames. So if you don't use the daily time frame, then obviously look at different time frames to see what's more relevant to you. Although I would say most people probably factor in the daily within something that they do, whether it's short-term trading or long-term trading. Daily probably comes into it in some way. So just to say what we're going to go through, we talked about what direction the markets are going in. For that, the word that we use is climate, and we're using our auto climate app to tell us that. So basically, are we in an uptrend or an upwards climate? Are we in a downtrend or a downwards climate? Do we have probabilities that that climate is more likely to work or not? And we'll see that when it comes to the thickness of the auto climate dot. I'll show you that in a bit. Propagating also comes from our auto climate app. And what that tells us is averagely how long do these markets go in a particular direction for? Because we don't want to be late to the party. So we want to know what's the probabilities that that climate is likely to keep going in that direction. Then we have our nearest UFOs. UFO stands for unfilled orders. What that means is where we expect there to be a big stack of buy orders that could push price up, or a big stack of sell orders that could push price down. We use our Auto UFO app to help us find this on the chart, to highlight to us areas where price could turn based on these stacks of orders that could move price. Okay, so after we've done that, we'll then speak about volatility, which is how far we expect markets to move in that particular direction. So we'll start with the S&P and we'll go through each of those components per market. So first one is the S&P, and we are using SPX.X to have a look at that. So here we go, SPX.X. We can see at the bottom here, our Auto Climate app is showing us a thick blue dot. Now what that means is that we are in a confirmed upwards climate. If it was a thin dot, it means it's unconfirmed, which means we basically have less probabilities. If it's thick and therefore it is confirmed, then we have more probabilities. If it's blue, we're in an up climate. If it's red, we're in a down climate. So 4 possibilities, I guess it could be. So as we see a thick blue dot, we know we're in a confirmed upwards climate. Now, closest buy UFO, where we would expect there to be buy orders that push price up, is just there at 3115.86 to 3101.17. Closest sell UFO, where we would expect there to be sell orders that could push price down, is 3207.18 to 3233.13. Okay, so as we saw, we had a confirmed upwards climate. Market is moving to the upside, and we have probabilities on our side with that being a confirmed climate. On the newsletter, just change the color there, you'll see if we have a thick green arrow pointing upwards, then that's us telling you that it's a confirmed upwards climate. If it was unconfirmed, then we would just put a little cross here. Obviously, as there's no cross, we know it's a confirmed upwards climate. Okay, so we know it's a confirmed upwards climate, but what we want to know is how long is that likely to keep carrying on. So what we can see here is that the S&P normally goes up for 11 candles on a daily chart, just rounding up that number. 11 candles on a daily chart, that's 11 days, and we're on day number 5. So we are kind of coming up to halfway as to what is normal for this market, what is average for this market to move in that direction. So we have probabilities on our side being a confirmed climate, and we have probabilities on our side that it's likely to continue because it's not yet reached what is statistically average for this market. By the way, that's not to say that these things are all exact and 100% or guaranteed. Everything is about probabilities and statistics. Of course, there are going to be anomalies. Of course, there are going to be things that happen outside of the norm or outside of what's probable. But we just want to know what is likely and what is probable and put as many odds in our favor as we possibly can. So that's what we see here, is that we've got odds in our favor that this market could continue. Okay, so let's just understand volatility. So what volatility means is how quick we expect a market to move, or how far we expect it to move within given periods of time. We get the implied volatility numbers from the options of these markets. So options are normally traded by professional traders, especially in these big markets like the S&P and oil. And when professional traders are buying and selling options, they're setting the price of them. Now, they are only going to buy and sell or set the price in their buying and selling based on the risk they're willing to take in their options, which is based on how far they think price will move. So essentially, the options pricing reflects the expected volatility that professional traders expect, and we get the implied volatility numbers derived from the options price. So basically, the numbers I'm about to show you show us what professional traders think will happen in the markets in terms of the movement. Everything in implied volatility is done annually. So you'll see, actually, if I just do that, all in this column is all percentages, and it all refers to the annual movement, the yearly movement on these markets. So for the S&P, we use the VIX, VIX.X, that's the chart that we use to get these numbers. And we can see from that we would expect a movement in the S&P either up or down in 1 year of 28%. Now, we want to reverse engineer that to understand it on smaller time frames. So we can see that in 1 day, we would expect a movement either up or down on the S&P of 55.91 points. A movement in 1 week, either up or down, of 123.09 points. And a movement in 1 month, either up or down, of 256.22 points. Okay, so that's the S&P. Let's move on now to oil. We're going to look at CL, that is the continuous futures contract for oil. So let's take a look at that. At CL. Okay, I'm just going to move this chart a bit so that we can see everything we need to see. It's a bit squished where we have these UFOs, but there we go, just about. Okay, so once again, we have a thick blue dot. In fact, this is the 4th day in a row, I believe, where all of our markets have been confirmed upwards climates, which is interesting. That doesn't happen very often. So we have a thick blue dot again, a confirmed upwards climate on oil. Closest buy UFO is just here. We can see we've obviously got two, one nestled on top of the other here. The top number is 25.87 to 25.36. Closest stack of buy orders that the Auto UFO app is picking up. Closest stack of sell orders or closest sell UFO is 53.39 to 55.27. And as we can see, we are pretty much just in the middle of those, about halfway between those two stacks of orders. And as we can see, price hasn't really moved very much in the last few days, despite the fact that we do have a confirmed upwards climb. Okay, where are we? So we saw a confirmed upwards climate. Again, we see that here with our green arrow pointing upwards. How long will this go on for in terms of probabilities? Now, what we can see is that oil normally goes up for 7 candles. Once again, rounding that up, 7 candles on a daily chart, and we are on candle number 7. So it goes up for a week, shall we say, 7 days, and we are on the last day of that as to what is statistically likely. Again, not to say that we can't go past that. Of course, crazy things happen. You'll see when we come to gold that definitely sometimes things happen that are going to be outside of the norm. But just bear in mind that the longer we go into what is average or past what is average, the less likelihood we have that that will continue. Like anything, if you pull an elastic band, the more you pull it, the more likely it is to contract. So we're at the end of what is statistically probable or statistically likely for oil, but we have a confirmed upwards climate. And again, just kind of sat in the middle there between two stacks of UFOs, not really close to either of them, which is probably why we don't really see much movement there on oil. Okay, so coming down here, let's understand the implied volatility. How far do we think oil could move? So we use OVX.X, that is the chart we use to get this. And we can see that in 1 year, we would expect a movement of 48.85%. For those that watch us every day, you'll notice that that number is coming down and down and down. And we can see that reflected on the chart, which is the expected movement here in oil. So 48.85% in 1 year movement, either up or down, which means 1.26 points, either up or down in 1 day. 2.77 points, either up or down in 1 week. And 5.76 points, either up or down in 1 month. So that's movement on oil that we would expect. Okay, so coming up to gold. So we're looking at GC, that is the continuous futures contract for gold. So let's take a look at that. Do on a different tab here so we can see everything we need to see. Okay, so like we said, once again, thick blue dot, confirmed upwards climate. Closest buy UFO is here, 1798.9 to 1766.3. And we can see price has already hit it and has moved off from there as well. So doing what we expect it to do and push price upwards. Closest sell UFO is up here at 1863.6 to 1879.0. That's going to be where we expect there to be sell orders that could push price back down. Okay, so we had a confirmed upwards climate. We have a green arrow on here again to show us that. Now, remember I said before that sometimes things go out of the norm. Well, what we see here is that gold would normally go up for 6 candles. Again, rounding that number up, 6 candles on a daily chart. So 6 days, and we're on candle number 21. So we are multiple times overextended, multiple times over what is normal, what is probable, what is statistical for this market. Again, it will be interesting to see how long we keep going and pushing that boundary, because it is very unusual for us to continue to follow a particular trend like that for this long on a daily chart. Now, like I said, the longer that we're overextended, the less probabilities we have. So although we have a confirmed upwards climate, we do have much less probability that that climate is likely to continue. So bear that in mind. Although, as we saw, we've just come off of a buy UFO and we've still got a little way to go to the next sell UFO. Of course, sometimes new UFOs, new orders come into the market and change things. It'll be interesting to see what happens here on gold. So in terms of expected movement on gold, we use GVZ.X or GVZ.X. This is where we get the numbers. So 17.74%, that's the movement that we would expect either up or down in 1 year on gold, which means we would expect a move in 1 day of 20.3 points, either up or down. In 1 week, a move either up or down of 44.7 points. and in 1 month, a move up or down of 93.1 points. Okay, so last but not least, we're coming to the euro. As I said before, the euro versus the US dollar is the highest traded currency pair in the world, and Forex is the highest traded asset class in the world. So lots of orders going through this market all the time. So we're using the spot Forex Euro US dollar to get the data for this one. Euro USD. Once again, just going to move the chart a little bit here so that we can see the UFO at the top. Brilliant. Okay, let's just move that over a bit. So once again, thick blue dot, confirmed upwards climate. Closest stack of buy orders just here. This is our buy UFO at 1.1252 to 1.1184. I've just rounded that to the pips that it needs to be. Again, as we can see, price has hit it a couple of times. We've had price come into this UFO and come out, which is doing it again, what we expect UFOs to do, and push price in that direction. Closest stack of sell orders, closest sell UFO is up here at 1.1740 to 1.1816. Again, that's where we would expect there to be sell orders that could push price down if price were to get there. Again, bear in mind, we're a little bit far away from it and just come off of a buy UFO. Okay, so in terms of the climate, once again, we had a thick blue dot, a confirmed upwards climate. Let's understand the probabilities here, or the propagating figures. What this means is that the euro US dollar would normally go up for 4 candles on a daily chart. Again, I'm just rounding up that number, and we're on candle number 4. So kind of like we were with oil, we've come to the end of what is statistically average for this market, what is likely for this market to do. Again, not to say that we won't overextend that, and obviously we do have buy UFOs below us that seem to have been pushing price up, and we don't have a sell UFO for a little while now. So it'll be interesting to see if we do break those statistics again on these other markets as well. Again, bear in mind that the sell UFO is a little bit far away, but of course, new UFOs can come into the market and change things. It'll be interesting to see where we're at tomorrow with that one. So in terms of movement on the euro, so we look at EVZ.X, that's where we get the figures from. So in 1 year, this means we would expect a movement on the euro either up or down of 6.92%, which means a movement either up or down in 1 day of 49 pips, a movement either up or down in 1 week of 109 pips, and a movement either up or down of 226 pips in 1 month. Okay, so like we said, the volatility numbers give us an idea of what professional traders will think in terms of how far these markets will move within given time periods. The climate and the propagating gives us an idea of in what direction and for how long, and the nearest UFOs give us an idea of where that could change. Okay. Once again, we use statistics and probability and data to give us odds in our favor here. So I'm just going to come down here and talk about high impact news. This shows us the entire week. So very boring week this week. The only high impact news we had coming out on US markets was on Monday. That's already done. We don't really need to know anything as to what's coming up further on in the week because there's nothing really relevant. Now, if you trade things that are outside the US or you want to look at lower impact news, you can go to www.fxstreet.com/economic-calendar, play about with the filters there. We filtered it by US markets and by high impact news. You'll see that when the news does come out, when the data comes out, they fill it in here. If it hadn't come out, this would be blank. And it tells us over here on the left-hand side what time of day that comes out. Again, I have it set to Eastern. So again, this already came out on Monday, nothing else for this week going on in terms of news. Now, bear in mind as well, news is an indirect force in the markets. The most direct force in the markets are buy and sell orders. That's what moves price ultimately at the end of the day. Of course, news can impact those orders. So go on that website, have a little look around, filter by what you trade and add it to your trade plan as you see fit. So a couple of reminders before we round off. If you're not already part of the subscription where you can access our sessions every day and our support, you can get onto that at www.tradictive.com/you-can-trade. You can try us out for 14 days, so you get 2 weeks free, so you can see whether or not it makes sense for you to sort of do before you do anything further. So come check us out for free for a couple of weeks, see if you like it. And then closest course in terms of the next course we have is our backtesting course. You can learn more about how that goes and the instructor, which in this case happens to be me, for that class. It's www.tradictive.com/backtesting live, so you can understand a bit more about what we do there. Again, just a reminder on any courses, you can register for any course and get an additional one for free. So it's like a buy one, get one free kind of situation. The second one has to be of equal or lesser value to the first one you pick. So just go on the website and sort of click about and play with it in a way to make sure you get the best out of that deal. If you have questions on anything about courses or the subscription or what we go over in the newsletter or technology we use, whatever it is, email us support@tradictive.com. We are always happy to help and always happy to support. That's what we do. Okay, so that's me done for today. We will come back today at 9 a.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Eastern for stocks and investing respectively. And then we will come back at 4:15 p.m. with my colleague Wayne to see what did happen in the markets, what went as expected. Did we continue pushing those propagating figures? Did we change price? Did new UFOs come in? What happened there? So we'll kind of round off the day in a nice sort of cycle back to the start there. So I'll be back tomorrow morning, so I'll see you guys then. Like I said, as always, email us if you need. Otherwise, have a good and fun day in the markets, guys, and we'll catch up with you, I'm sure, later on.